Hey, good morning, Rising, and welcome to church this morning. Today I have the amazing privilege of introducing you to our very own Rising Students Sunday. And this is going to be a morning where we at Rising Students get to kind of bring you into our world, show you what it's like in our neck of the woods and how we do church, how we've been doing church over the past several months. And we're just so excited to share this morning with you. We've got students, we've got leaders, we've got college students making church happen this morning, and we're just really glad to have the privilege to do this with you guys this morning. Today I want to have a second to talk about something that's really near and dear to my heart. If you've ever been around youth ministry for any amount of time, you know, and I know more than anybody, that you cannot run a youth ministry without amazing, incredible, dedicated volunteers. And we have, like, I can't lie here, maybe the best team of volunteers ever, maybe ever. We seriously love our volunteers. All of our small group leaders at Altar and Surge are just incredible with the way that they pour out their life and they pour out their time to our students. And this morning I want to take a moment to highlight one of our volunteers in particular. For the past, decade, give or take, we've had one man whose name is Ken Powers just be an absolute rock of a volunteer for our ministry here at Rising Students here at Altar and Surge. And this spring, Ken felt God calling him into another direction, calling him to the next thing, the next chapter in life apart from Rising Students. And we all know, all good things must come to an end. And so we've been waiting for a moment that we've been able to just celebrate Ken. And that's what we want to do today. Ken, we just want to say thank you for your years and years and years of service, of passion, of sacrifice that you've poured out, the love that you showed our students. So much of what we've done would not have been possible without your dedication, without your help. And so if, this morning, if you're in the chat, if you're watching this early, would you join me in honoring Ken Powers this morning for being such a rock star volunteer for us for so many years, by just letting him know how much he's meant to this place and just thanking him for all of his years of service and love. It's truly a special legacy that Ken is getting to leave behind at Rising Students, and we kind of wanted to match that legacy. For those of you who don't know, every week at Surge, our students get to come and eat dinner beforehand, and we have a little concession booth set up that we've always called Big Al's. And we thought it would be really fitting if Big Al's underwent a name change. And so from here on out, in Ken's honor and Ken's legacy, we're going to be calling Big Al's Ken's Corner. And so mark that down, Surge students. Next time you're at Surge, you'll be coming to eat at Ken's Corner. And Ken, what can we say? We just love you so much. We're just so thankful for you. You've truly embodied what it means to be a servant leader in our tribe and our family. And I'm just personally just forever grateful for the impact that you've had. Rising Church, we've got an amazing morning for you guys. I'm just so excited to let our students lead the way this morning. So it's great to see you guys. Sit tight. We'll be right there in a second. Welcome to church.
Good morning, Rising Church. My name is Rachel Bruno. I just graduated from Lanier High School.
And I'm Cole Carter, and we're so glad you guys are here this morning for Rising Church Student Sunday edition. It's going to be an awesome morning. Rachel, what's been going on this past week with Rising Students?
This past Wednesday, we had our senior nights, and that is when all the seniors, the just graduated seniors, we all dressed up, took some pictures. We had a nice dinner. Blaine cooked some good steak.
Ooh,
we also
okay.
got this really cool yearbook. It had pictures from like Surge Fall Camp 2014. And then on Thursday, we had our Altar Senior Night, which was pretty sad, but we all wore our college shirts, repping our college shirts. And then what else did we do?
Oh, yeah.
College?
On Friday, we had a Rising College Worship Night, which was kind of our first opportunity to have our rising freshmen, which is funny to say rising freshman. Rachel, you're a freshman again. But yeah, we had a worship night here at the Young Life Farm. Really awesome opportunities to have students just come and worship and pray together as a family, honestly, which was just really cool. But yeah, we're kind of moving into this next season of life. Rachel, I know you're probably
I'm so
excited and
excited.
nervous
I'm so
at the same
excited,
time. Just a really awesome opportunity for you to step in the next part of life. But yeah, we're kind of transitioning now into the next part of the morning. We're just welcoming you guys at home. We're so glad you joined us this morning. It's just a beautiful opportunity to kind of just serve and be together. We're at church together. We're not at home just watching online. We're actually at church this morning, and that's something to be excited about. Just really awesome opportunity. But we're going to pray as we begin our morning. So you guys join me in prayer this morning. Father, we're just so glad to be here this morning, just joining together as a faith family. We may not be here together as one body, God, but we are together in faith. We're here just to worship you and to hear a word, hear something encouraging, just to get to see our students as they transition this next part of life, is walking into college, God. We're just excited to see what you have in store, and we're all just trusting for you to be walking hand in hand with us in these days as a faith family, as students, as leaders, as parents, as kids. We're all in different walks of life, God, but we're here this morning to join together as one family, one church, and one body, God. So we pray that you would bless this morning, bless our worship, bless our offerings, just bless this time together. We love you, we praise you, and we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right.
That the highest king would welcome me. I was lost, but he brought me in. Oh, his love for me. Oh, his love for me. Who the sun sets free, oh, is free. Ransom me, oh, his grace runs deep. While I was a slave to sin, Jesus died for me. Yes, he died for me. Who the sun sets free, oh, is free. There's a place there's a place for me. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am.
Two, three, four.
You hide. I wanna find you. Oh, I'm running after you. I wanna be where you are. As you move, I'm right beside you. Oh, I'm running after you. I wanna be where you are. I'm chasing you. I'm so in love, captivated. I just can't get enough. I'll spend my days running after your heart. Your heart, your heart, oh, I'm chasing you with all my love, captivated, I just can't get enough. I'll spend my days running after your heart, your heart, your heart, oh, heart. You've won me heart and soul, and where you lead, I'll go. I wanna be where you are. From the moment I rise to the moment I sleep, my affection is for you, and even as I dream, I wanna know you. I'm after your heart. I'm chasing you. I'm so in love, captivated. I just can't get enough. I'll spend my days running after your heart, your heart, your heart. Oh, I'm chasing you with all my love, captivated. I just can't get enough. I'll spend my days running after your heart, your heart, your heart. Oh, this life, this love was always meant to be a wild, crazy adventure, discovering the thrill, the rush. The more of you I seek, the more it leaves me wanting your everything. Your everything. I'm chasing you. I'm so in love, captivated. I just can't get enough. I'll spend my days running after your heart, your heart, your heart. Oh, I'm chasing you with all my love, captivated. I just can't get enough. I'll spend my days running after your heart, your heart, your heart.
presence. I just wanna sit here at your feet. I'm caught up in this holy moment. I never wanna leave. No, I'm not here for blessings. Jesus, you don't owe me anything. And more than anything that you can do, I just want you. I'm sorry for when I just gone through the motions. I'm sorry when I just sang another song. Take me back to where we started. I open up my heart to you. I'm sorry when I've come with my agenda. I'm sorry when I forgot that you're enough. Take me back to where we started. I open up my heart to you. I'm caught up in your presence. I just wanna sit here at your feet. I'm caught up in this holy moment. I never wanna leave. Oh, no, I'm not here for blessings. Jesus, you don't owe me anything. And more than anything that you can do, I just want you. So I just want you. Nothing else. Nothing else. Nothing else will do. I just want you. Nothing else. Nothing else. Nothing else will do. And I just want you. Nothing else. Nothing else. Nothing else will do. And I just want you. Nothing else. Nothing else. Nothing else will do. And I just want you. Nothing else. Nothing else. Nothing else will do. And I just want you. Nothing else. Nothing else, Jesus. Nothing else will do. I'm caught up in your presence. I just wanna sit here at more than anything that you can do. I just want you.
Hey guys, awesome job on the worship. That was beautiful. If you guys don't know me, I'm Tony Perucci. I'm the Rising Students Discipleship Coordinator. And every year before our seniors go off to college, we love to commission them and prepare them and just kind of calm their nerves with some prayer over them. And yeah, so if you don't know our rising seniors that just graduated, we're going to do a little intro for you, and they're going to share where they're going to college, what they're studying, and then we're going to pray over them. So let's hear from them.
Hi, my name is Michelle Warsack. I'm going to the University of North Georgia, and I'm studying Business and International Affairs.
Hey, I'm Lily Belcher. I'm going to Reinhardt University, and I'm studying history education.
Hi, I'm Brie Kaplan. I'm going to Clemson University. I'm studying pre-business with a focus in marketing.
All right, let's ignore this, but I'm Corey Morlock. I'm going to Kennesaw State University, and I don't know what I'm studying yet, but we'll figure it out life.
Hi, my name is Josiah Reitner. I'm going to Middle Georgia State University. I'm studying aviation management and science.
My name is Yusong Kim. I go by Eugene. I'm going to go to Columbia University to study nuclear physics.
Hi, my name is Jake Hoffman. I am going to North Carolina Wesleyan, and I'm very blessed to play baseball there too and continue that career, but I'm studying exercise science.
My name is Rachel Bruno. I just graduated from Linear High School, Hook 'em Horns, and I'll be moving on to Kennesaw State University. I will be studying psychology in hopes of going to ministry when I'm an adult.
Hey, I'm Bonnie Clement, and I'm going to Samford University, and I plan to major in nursing, and you're watching Disney Channel. Beep, 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 beep.
Hi, I'm Justin Evans, and I'm going to UNG Gainesville, and I plan to major in film and digital media.
My name is Kaylee Avila. I'm going to Georgia State University, and I'm going to study political science.
Hi, I'm Ansley Randolph. I'm going to Berry College, and I'll be majoring in biology.
My name is Claire McGuire, and I'm going to Florida State University to study criminology and criminal justice.
I'm Maddie, and I'll be attending Samford University to study nursing.
Hey, church. Hey, thank you, seniors, for telling us a little bit about where you guys are going, how you guys are heading off into your next adventure. We're just so excited for you guys.
Very excited.
Just the best is ahead. My name is Blaine Tiller.
And I'm Bailey Tiller.
And we are your student pastors here at Rising Church.
We are, and we just wanted to take a few moments just to commission our seniors, and we're just so excited for them, and I just love getting to see where they're going, what they're doing, their personalities. Guys, I'm telling you what, this group really is the best. I have to say it, and I know I'm biased because I spent a lot of time with them, but just everything that they've overcome, even just having a senior year basically taken away from them during this kind of crazy pandemic COVID season, they're really building character, and it's been amazing to see their hearts that have grown and just mature. And so we just want to take a few moments to pray for them. Us as a rising church community, as rising students, we're very excited for what's ahead for them, and we're all going to be cheering them on. We know that the Lord has them, but we just want to take a few moments to dedicate them and commission them off into this next season of life. So pray with me. Jesus, we just thank you for who you are. God, and we thank you for the gift of you, Lord, that we get to wake up every day. And we get to see what you're up to, God, what you're on the move with, Lord. And so I just thank you for these seniors, God. You have just given them each a heart of gold, truly. And especially in this season, Jesus, I've just been able to see how amazingly incredible they are. God, how optimistic they are, God, how mature they are, God, how intentional they are. When things get rough and they get going, Lord, it's just been so awesome to see them continue to dig in to who you've called them to be, God, and actually sow into the Spirit of God. And so, I just want to take a moment, Lord, and I just pray you'd bless each and every one of these beautiful people, God. Yeah, they are beautiful physically, Lord, but man, they just have such a beautiful heart, God. And I just pray, Lord, that you would just rain down your blessings on them, God. I pray that the moment they walk into their classrooms, their dorm rooms, when they're making new friends, God, they would have a peace. Lord, they would have a security, God, and a confidence knowing that you've gone before them, Lord. You've made the path. And Lord, all they need to do is just walk in it and just know that this is who I am, and I'm awesome, and I'm going to have a great time, Lord. So I just pray that you would just continue giving them confidence, Lord, and peace, and just know that they're rising family, they're rising students. All of us are here just cheering them on day after day, week after week when things get, hard occasionally. So We just love our senior, Lord, and we just pray that you would just continue to blow away their expectations, because we know a life with you is full of abundance, Lord, and we also know that you exceed every single one of our expectations or dreams. God, you blow us away. So I just pray for these seniors, Lord, that you would just continue to sow into them, Lord, the talents and giftings that you've called upon their life, Jesus, and that we can also support them as well. So we love you, we thank you, and we pray this all in your name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Seniors, we love you so much. You have a church family who stands behind you and loves you every step of the way. And we are believing the absolute best and brightest about your futures.
Yeah.
We're so excited to see where the Lord takes you next. Rising Church, as we transition into our time of giving, our offering moment, I just want to remind you that one of our core values here at Rising is that we will invest in the next generation. And so how beautiful is it for us this morning to see the example of our faithful giving being invested into the next generation as they go off. You just saw all of these seniors explain where they're headed next. And it's a really surreal moment for us because we get to see years and years and years of growth and maturity and life being poured into them. And this is what we get to see, and how beautiful and how special is that? And so as we give faithfully, as we tithe faithfully, we are investing into the next generation. The students in our program now, they will one day be maybe back up on a stage by then, maybe not over video, but they'll be standing
That's
before
true.
you. And you'll have the opportunity to see how our faithful investment as a church body came to support their dreams, support their character, the giftings that God is growing in each and every one of them. And so I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for choosing to be faithful in your giving, because that invests, that goes straight into our students and lets them become who God really created them and called them to be. So with that, I'm just going to take a moment to pray for our giving, to pray for our tithe this morning, and then we'll see what's next. So pray with me. Dear Jesus, we just thank you for this morning, God. I just pray that this week, this month, as we give our offering, as we give of our first fruits, God, as we're faithful, Lord, that you would just use this offering to just really bless our students, God, in Surge and in Altar, all the way from our 6th grade students, all the way through our graduating college students as they get ready to move on into the real world, God. And so, Lord, just thank you for the gift that you've been able to just bless our students with, God. And I just pray that as we move forward, just this little amount that we have to bring can be used by such a big way that you can multiply our small gift to bring such a huge outcome for our students, God. So, Lord, we just thank you for this day. Pray all this in your name. Amen.
Before we transition into the speaker this morning, I just wanted to take a quick second. So for those of you who don't know, me and my husband Blaine, we are the student pastors here at Rising Church, but we have a pretty robust staff. We have Tony, who you just saw. She has been with us since probably last May. And then Robbie Hirschman, who's come on as our associate student pastor. He came on back in May or June, I believe. And so I just want to take a quick second to tell Tony and Robbie right now, thank you so much. And Rising Church, let me just tell you something right now. They have been an incredible support and team to work with during this really hard time. Obviously, it's been a hard time for everybody in the COVID season, but I have to say, ministry has looked a lot different, especially with students when, there's just a lot of stuff going on. And so it's honestly been pretty hard, pretty difficult. But without their support, I just don't think Blaine and I would have been able to do any of the stuff that we did. And so if you know Tony or Robbie, you have their numbers, you have them on Facebook. If I'm asking you this morning, sometime this week, please reach out to them and just let them know how much you love them and how happy you are they're part of our family, and just thank them for the work they've done. Because I can just say from firsthand seeing it, Blaine and I, week after week, I'm telling you what, guys, they've got hearts of gold, and they've got servants' hearts, and they just want to lead and love our students with just the biggest love, the biggest hearts possible. So with that being said, our speaker this morning is actually going to be Robbie Hirschman, who I just was talking about. So we are excited to hear him. Take it away, Robbie.
Good morning, Rising Church, and thank you so much, Bailey, for those kind words and introduction. Like she said, I'm Robbie Hirschman, and I am the associate student pastor here at Rising, meaning I work directly with middle school students at Surge on Wednesday nights, and also with Altar on Thursday. And so it's just been a great time to be back here at Rising. You might recognize me from the past 2 summers as a student intern while I was in college at Lee University. And And yeah, it's as I sit here today and think about all the seniors that are graduating, it's just super surreal to me because when I was a senior in high school as a senior leader, they were 8th grade students. And so I've been able to watch them grow from Surge to Altar and now as they step off into college. And so it's just incredible to me to watch them become the leaders that they are, and that what they're going to do next is something that I'm going to be here to watch happen. And I know back in May I was able to come on and introduce myself for an online service, but it wasn't really an introduction because I've been here for 2 summers. And so every time I've come up on stage, it's always been, hey, what are you excited about for the summer? And what are you looking forward to? And tell us about yourself. But it's always been a quick little, hey, I'm Robbie. And I just would like to share how I've been a part of Rising and how Rising has been a part of my life and an impact on my life and how that's gotten me to this point today. So, as I just said, I haven't always been at Rising. I haven't always been in Georgia for that matter. I was born in Doylestown, Pennsylvania, which is a town right outside Philadelphia. Go Birds. And while in PA, I was enrolled in a Catholic school. I was born into a Catholic family. And so that was a super big part of my life growing up. It was super important to my parents that I grew up in the Catholic Church. If you know any Catholic families, that it's something that a parent feels and the Catholic Church tells the parent to instill in their children, make sure they get all their sacraments, since that was always important to my parents. And I'm super grateful for growing up in the Catholic Church. But sitting here today, it's clear that I'm not a practicing Catholic, but that doesn't mean I'm not thankful for that experience. Growing up in the Catholic Church, I had to go through CCD classes, confirmation, all those things to try to learn my faith. And I always had an interest in theology and in God. I always enjoyed going to classes and going to Mass for that matter. I always had an interest, but at some point, it just didn't click for me anymore. But a quick story I'd like to share about my younger days, really young, I must have been like 3 or 4, but my mom loves to share this, is we're leaving a Mass and a nun stops us. And she says, I'm sorry, I just want to tell you that I think your son is going to be a priest. And my mom was like, oh my gosh, that's awesome. Thank you so much. And we went on our way. And she didn't tell me this until later in life. And now I kind of look at it and I'm like, well, the nun was like half right. I'm not a priest, but I am in ministry. So maybe she just didn't interpret it correctly. I don't know. But I'm just not sure that if I hadn't grown up in the Catholic Church and with the way that my parents raised me, that I wouldn't be where I am today. I feel like it is the foundation that has allowed me to move forward. And it's something that I just am very grateful for, and I wouldn't have it any other way. And so then we get to high school, and how I found Altar is kind of interesting. So like I mentioned, I grew up in the Catholic Church, and I was pretty involved in middle school with our church and our youth group. And I had a friend, you might know Alec Powers. He would always invite me to his youth group. And I would always say, no, I have a youth group, I have a church, I believe in Jesus, I have all this stuff. And I would always just tell him no, I didn't really need to. But as time went on and I got older and I started thinking about my faith and what it meant for me as an individual, not just a member of a church, I was wondering and wrestling with what a relationship with Jesus actually looks like. Became a little disillusioned with the Catholic Church, and just, it wasn't really clicking for me. And so I finally said yes to going to youth group with Alec. And that was when I found Altar. And that was in January of 2013. So very early on in the lifespan of Rising Church and of Rising students. It was the first week back in January. And I remember walking into the high school where I had practically just gotten home from, because it was right back at North Point High School. And I remember walking in and seeing all these people. I saw some people that I knew from class. I, of course, saw my friend Alec. And then there were these cool leaders that were wanting to get to know me. And there were students from other schools like Peachtree Ridge and Duluth and all these places. And it was just incredible to me to see these students willing to come to a high school after they had just spent all day in a high school. And it was just something radically different than what I had experienced in my other youth group. In my other youth group, it was, my parents made me come to this, or I don't really want to be here. I'm here just to make my parents happy, or I need to do this to get through my confirmation class. But here at Altar, in my experience, it was students who wanted to be there. They were there because that's where their friends were, that's where they were getting poured into, and that's where they felt like they belonged. So my time in Altar was a little turbulent for me because I also played football in high school. And if anyone has played a high school sport, especially here in Georgia, especially if it's football, you know that it's a very time-consuming and time-demanding hobby and sport. It was something that I always struggled with as a high school student, trying to balance just my personal life and football because it was so demanding. And especially when summers rolled around, we would have summer workouts, which would be Monday through Thursday, and pretty much I had to be in Swanee all summer. We had like 1 week off around 4th of July. And so that meant beach camp wasn't really an option for me. Mission trips weren't really an option for me. It was just something that I was kind of missing out on. But at one point, I kind of said, like, enough was enough. I want to go on a mission trip. This is something that I feel like I'm missing out on and I feel like would be good for my faith. And so I signed up for Costa Rica in 2015. And so I signed up for it and I was all ready to go. I was going to all the mission meetings. And then we found out that my football camp that we go to every summer was the same weekend that Costa Rica started. And so my dad and I had a conversation about it. And he was like, well, you can't miss football. And I was like, but we already just paid this money to go to Costa Rica. And I made this commitment to the church. And it's something that I want to do. And so I'm still amazed that we came to the agreement and just what we came to. But I ended up going to the football camp for 2 days, like a day and a half, 2 days. And then I flew by myself to Costa Rica and met up with the team in country, which was crazy because, one, I had never traveled internationally before. And so I was going on a plane to a country where I didn't speak any Spanish. I never took any Spanish classes. I was taking French in high school, which wasn't helping me in that case. And yeah, I remember sitting on the plane and talking to the person next to me about where I was going, and then landing, trying to work my way through customs. And it was so crazy. I didn't know what I was doing, where I was going. And you got out of the Costa Rica airport, and there were just a bunch of crowds of people and taxi drivers trying to get people to ride. And I just see people walking past me, and then it just kind of splits. And I see Jake Martin standing there with a cup of coffee, and he just waves at me. And I walk over to him. And we get in the car, and I jump right into ministry. We drive right to a church, and then we went and did street evangelism. And so it's like I got off the plane, didn't have time to unpack. I just went straight into talking to people and evangelizing. And so that week was super impactful for me. I didn't get the full 10 days like everyone else did. I got about 7. But it was probably the most impactful 7 days I've had in my life thus far. Sorry, quick water. Stay hydrated, folks. It's hot out there. It was super impactful for me. I think I shared in May that I was on this trip that I felt my call to ministry. And so it's a trip that always will stay with me. There's so many great things that happened on that trip, so many great things that I learned. And it's one of the reasons that I think I'm up here today is because I felt that call on that trip, a call that I didn't really completely figure out until afterwards, but it's something that where I felt that initial call. And so Altar for me in high school was a place where I felt like I belonged and I was seen. And I think that's just what every student is looking for when they're looking for a ministry. And I think that's what we try to do, me, Blaine, and Tony, and Bailey, is just find a place and create an environment that students can feel like they belong and that they're seen. I tell parents all the time after Surge, they say, oh, they had a great time. And I say, well, it's nothing that we did. We just provided this space and this opportunity for the students to come together. It's not really anything that we're putting on. It's just we want them to feel like they have a place to come and be a part of something. And so, from Altar, I graduated, and I knew that I wanted to go into ministry. I felt that call my senior year of high school. And so I was trying to find a place where I could study ministry because I felt like if I was going to do it, I wanted to do it right, and I wanted to get an education. And so now I'm sitting up here today, a recent graduate of Lee University, which is a Christian liberal arts university in Southeast Tennessee. Go Flames. It's a great place. I absolutely loved every minute I spent there. But I can't say that it was easy. And so I guess I'm speaking to the seniors that are getting ready to leave. I went from having a close-knit family in Altar that I had spent 4 years with. On Thursday nights, on weekends, it seemed like practically every day of the week, my senior year, we had something going on every night. And I left that close-knit family, and I went to a place that was unfamiliar, that was unknown, and that I didn't know a single soul. I didn't know where anything was in the town. I had only been there once when I visited the college. And so I was going from somewhere where I felt extremely comfortable to a place where I was completely uncomfortable. But that's not to say that I didn't find community there. Community was found, and I found it pretty quickly in my dorm. When you're living on a hall with 24 other guys, it's pretty easy to get to know them really quick, especially when you share some showers and some toilets. When you have to go down the hall and you see the same people every day, it's really easy to get to know them. And I fell in love with dorm life, so much so that I just decided to spend the rest of my college career as a resident chaplain and then a resident assistant, meaning I lived in a dorm every year of college. I never moved off campus. I was always in a dorm. And I loved that aspect. I loved being just 5-minute walk away from anything. Obviously, our campus wasn't huge. It's a small Christian school, so it's not like there were 20,000 students on campus. But I could get to one end of the campus in 10 minutes. And I also just loved the same idea of why I love youth ministry is the same reason I loved residential life and housing, is that the experience that I had freshman year of college was something that I wanted other freshmen to experience and I wanted other students to experience because I knew how impactful it was for me. And so when I was getting into res life and housing, I wanted to be a resident assistant in the freshman dorm. I wanted to have that great freshman orientation weekend, and I wanted to do dorm wars with the students, and I wanted to make 2 a.m. cookout runs and all those things that I did as a freshman with those new freshmen. And so when the time came, I applied to be an RA. I put my application in, and I thought I was a shoo-in, to be honest. I really thought that I was going to get the job right away. But when the emails came out, a month after the interviews, after being a round of group interviews and a round of personal interviews and all that, I got an email saying that I was listed as an alternate, meaning I wasn't the first choice. I was a backup in case someone backed out. And that really hurt. I kind of put all my eggs in one basket and figured that I was going to be back in the same place that I just spent a year, a place that I had learned to grow and love. And now that wasn't the plan. I didn't have a plan, so I didn't know what I was going to do. And about a week goes by, and I get a call from an unknown number. I'm sitting in the student union with some friends, and I'm like, should I answer this? I don't know who this is. And they say, yeah, just answer it. If it's a spam call, you can just hang up. And so I answer it, and it's this guy, and he says, hey, it's so-and-so from Hicks, which was an apartment dorm on campus. And he said, we are looking at your application. We know that you applied for resident assistance, but your name came up in a meeting. Would you consider being a chaplain? And I said, if you're considering me, then I'll consider it. And he said, great, do you want to have a meeting in a couple days? And so we had a meeting. And so essentially what had happened was they offered me a job as a resident chaplain. And so there are RAs on each floor, which is what I applied for, but then there's a chaplain over the dorm as a whole. And the chaplain is in charge of small groups on Thursday nights, the spiritual care of the building, being available for just conversations with students that are struggling with their faith, those kinds of things. And it's not a job that I wanted. It was a job that, frankly, was kind of scary because it's just one person over a dorm of 150 people. And that was terrifying to me. But it kind of was this option that was laid in front of me. And so it kind of felt like God was saying, this is something that I want you to try. And the scariest part about it was I would just finish my freshman year, and the job that I was going into as a resident chaplain was for the upperclassmen apartments, meaning the residents that I would be serving would mostly be juniors and seniors, so they would all be older than me. But I ended up taking on the role, and I loved it so much that I did a second year in that same building as a resident chaplain, and then I did a third year in that building as a resident assistant. I just fell in love with upperclassmen apartments, and that people were in this transitionary period of, it was a dorm, but it was also an apartment, and they were becoming young adults where you have your own space and you have your own home. It's like an actual apartment building, not a dorm. And I just fell in love with walking with those students and figuring out what that next step in life looks like while we're kind of in this in-between. And it's funny because I wouldn't have found Lee if I hadn't been an altar, because if you guys know Sarah DeLattelle and her husband Steve, they graduated from Lee University, and so I heard plenty of stories from Sarah when she was giving her messages about Lee, and I probably wouldn't have heard about it if it had not been for them. And so something that I kept coming back to in college was Altar's verse, which is Romans 12, 1 through 2, the verse that Altar's built around. And so it goes, "Therefore, I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true and proper worship. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will." And so I've always looked at that verse just for comfort as I go through college, because it calls for service, meditation, worship, and following God's will. All things that I really wrestled with while I was in college. I think most college students will wrestle with that. And I went to Lee because I wanted to study ministry. I got to study classes like spiritual formation and discipleship, systematic theology, the prophets, but also take classes like the history of rock and roll. It's a liberal arts school, so I had my kind of pick of the basket of what I wanted to study, which I loved about it. But I came back to Rising as an intern because in my degree, I needed an internship. And so admittedly, Rising was a church that was comfortable for me. And it was a church that I knew offered internship. But it was interesting because the time that I was coming back for an internship, Rising itself was in a transition period with its students, and Jalen was coming on staff. And so it was this place that I knew, and I knew a lot of the students, but I didn't know the leadership that was coming in. And so it was this really interesting opportunity for me to kind of be that in-between of like being with Jalen and kind of getting him acclimated to it, but then also just kind of being what Altar has been. And so I did that for 2 summers, and I absolutely loved it. But as I got towards the end of college, I got into this new transition period where I just didn't know what was going to happen next. And it comes back to that piece from Romans 12:2 of knowing what God's will is, and I just didn't know. I knew that his will was for me to be in ministry, but I didn't know what that looked like. I didn't know if it was going to be church ministry. I didn't know if it was going to be campus ministry at a school, or if I had to take a gap year or go into grad school. And so in the first semester of my senior year, it was October, and I know the actual date, it was October 11th. I was writing in my journal that I brought with me, and I got into this really good rhythm of writing down my daily thoughts and what I was struggling with, and then writing out a prayer, asking for God's guidance. And I think this was on a Monday. I'll have to check the calendar, but here's what I wrote. "I've been stressed recently with the uncertainty of the future. Will I stay at Lee? If I do, what would I study? I know my heart is in ministry, but I feel like my time at Lee is not over." And then I went on to write for my prayer, "Lord, let me hold on to this truth of feeling alive when discipling. Give me opportunities to live this out. I ask that you give me clarity in what I'm supposed to do next. I desperately need your guidance. Amen." So that was something that I was praying over myself that week as I was struggling, trying to figure out what I was supposed to do. And not 2 days later, I was coming home for fall break. I'm driving home from Lee, which is about 2 hours, and I get a text from Blaine, who would then come into the role as student pastor. And I read the text as soon as I get home, and it said, "Hey, do you have a quick minute to chat before I go to Surge tonight?" I texted him back, and I was like, "Hey, I'm actually in Swanee. I'm like home. We don't have to just chat over text. I could come stop by Surge tonight." He's like, "Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, come on by." And so I come, get to see some students, some senior leaders, hang out a little bit. And then he's like, "Have you had dinner?" And so we went out afterwards, and he pretty much just laid out in front of me, I guess you could call it like a job offer for what I'm doing right now, to be the associate student pastor. A couple days after I'd asked God for some guidance, and this was laid out in front of me. And I shared that with Blaine. I was like, it seems like it's just God's will of opening this door. And it's just an unbelievable circumstance of God's faithfulness and direction in my life that I felt was pretty clear. I took some time to think about it, but obviously, sitting here today, I ended up accepting that job offer. But I think looking through this journey, you can see how each thing has built on the other. I wouldn't have been this strong in my faith, I don't think, if I'd grown up in the Catholic Church and the direction of my parents and the foundation that they gave me. And I don't think I would have found Lee if I had not come to Altar. And had I not gone to Lee, I wouldn't be working at Rising right now. And so I just see this story of God's faithfulness in my own journey. And as I sit here talking about my journey, I think of the seniors again who are getting ready to graduate. And honestly, 3 or 4 years from now, it could be any of them who are sitting in this seat talking to you guys. Hopefully it's actually together, not in your living room, but it could be any of them. It could be anyone from Rising Students that can be the next leader at Rising Students. And so I know that we have our altar verse, but I feel like Rising Students as a whole has kind of come into this other verse that we've talked about a lot, and that it's not official, but I think it's kind of the Rising Students verse. But I think of Hebrews 12, 1-2. Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles. Let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of our faith. For the joy set before him, he endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Consider him who endured such opposition from sinners, so that you will not grow weary and lose heart. Hebrews 12, 1-2. As we look at Rising College, these students that are about to join it as freshmen, it's continuing to get bigger and bigger with young adults, people who are alumni from Rising Students. And that is the cloud of witnesses that Rising Students can look to for guidance. And so that's why I think it's the perfect verse to encapsulate Rising Students as we celebrate it today on Student Sunday. I just feel like you can even just look at Blaine and I, students who came through the program, who are now leading the program. And I mean, the list can go on and on. You saw Cole up here earlier today for the intro. You saw Bailey up here with Blaine. And then we have a new Rising Student freshman with Rachel up here leading. And so the cloud of witnesses just keeps getting bigger. And so I just can't wait to see what the next Student Sunday looks like and the next one after that, and who is going to be sitting in this seat giving you a message, hopefully of great importance. And so as we move into a time of worship, I just want to pray over it and pray over all of our students going off to college. Will you pray with me? Lord, thank you for a church that provides opportunities for students to express themselves in ministry and to have opportunities to lead in ministry. I just pray as these students go off, these seniors who go off to college, that they would just continue to run the race and look to your cross as a sign of perseverance, to you, the perfecter of our faith, and to the cloud of witnesses that are around them, the new Rising College family that they'll be joining, that they can look to them for help, look to them for comfort. And I pray for our altar family going into the next school year, as we lose what seems like a core piece of our identity, that they can forge their new identity going forward, and that Rising Students will continue to thrive, altar will continue to thrive, Surge will continue to thrive. We thank you so much for what you did on the cross, Lord. We thank you so much for Rising Church. We thank you for this Sunday. It's in your name we pray. Amen.
We're creation suddenly articulate, with 1,000 tongues to lift one cry. Then from north to south and east to west, we'd hear Christ be magnified. Were the whole earth echoing his imminence, his name would burst from sea and sky, from rivers to the mountain tops. We'd hear Christ be magnified. And oh, Christ be magnified. Let his praise arise. Christ be magnified in me. Oh, Christ be magnified. The altar of my life. stand strong and worship you. If it puts me in the fire, I rejoice 'cause you're there too. I won't be formed by feelings, I hold fast to what is true. If the cross brings transformation, I'll be crucified with you. 'Cause death is just a doorway into resurrection life. If I join you in your sufferings, then I join you when you rise. And when you return in glory with all the angels and the saints, my heart will still be singing and my song will be the same. Oh, Christ be magnified, let his praise arise. Christ be magnified in me. Oh, Christ be magnified from the altar of my life. Christ be magnified in me.
Wow, what a great morning today. Shout out to Bonnie and Mac for repping Altar today during service and worship. Also, thank you, Bailey, for what you said. We really appreciate it, especially as the upcoming freshman for college. And thank you, Robbie, for what you were talking about. I thought that it was really cool that you talked about transformation and like meditation and just transforming your life, because I actually went through that with Altar, and that really ties into my life. Personally, I didn't grow up in a Christian home, and if it wasn't for Altar, I would not be a Christian today, and my whole life would be completely changed. Like, it would not be what I'm doing today, and I actually plan on going into ministry, like what Robbie was saying. So his whole sermon really like correlated with my life. So I just thought that was really cool.
That's awesome. No, that's awesome. Yeah, I think what Robbie said today was really encouraging for a lot of people, obviously for hopefully our students today, especially the ones walking into college, their freshman year. And that's a lot that can be related to. I think on Robbie's side, maybe it's people like you might feel like you're called to ministry. Whatever it is, we're excited just to hear more about what's going on in our students' lives in the future, building momentum off today. Hopefully this can be like a stepping stone for a lot of our students, whether it's a freshman in high school or those rising seniors in high school, whatever it is. I know for me, like Altar was huge. It was family, it was home, it was a place I felt safe and comfortable, but also it's where I was built up. It's where my faith was strengthened, and it was where just a place that I don't think I'd be where I am today if I didn't have Altar, if I didn't have my rising family coming around me and making, just me feel important, making me feel loved. And ultimately, like, I think Robbie kind of spoke on all that a little bit, just the perseverance. If it's taking a daily journal or just writing, hey, I'm struggling with this, I need prayer for it. If that might be by yourself, or it might be asking your friends, your family, hey, I need prayer, I need this help with what's going on. So I think Robbie touched on some awesome stuff today. And I know for me, I really related to it. I loved it. Good word, good message. But yeah, it was a great morning here at Rising. We're so glad you guys joined in with us. We have one big announcement. We have our driveway dinners coming up soon. That's going to be kind of the same thing we did last month. It'll be the August edition. Make sure if you have any questions, talk to Lori Cotter. Big info right there. She'll have anything you need to know. We do need a couple more hosts. But yeah, stay socially distanced. We want to make sure we're not spreading COVID. Be safe still. Still very relevant, but it's been an awesome morning. And I know that we're so excited to see you guys next time. It's been an awesome morning. We love you guys. Rising, be good, be safe, and stay classy.
God is dope.